We all were completely beside ourselves with grief. I immediately called my attorney to stop all divorce proceedings, something that we were going to do prior to the accident. Now all I had left was hindsight. As we were reeling from the tragedy that just occurred in our lives, our children and myself were not acknowledged at the hospital from October 27th to November 1st, 2007. It was not until I brought in my marriage license and I made mention of the HIPAA laws, and I demanded to speak to my husband's brain surgeon. Little did we know, my husband's parents were getting everything in order, from St. Mary's Hospital staff to have the necessary papers signed and filed for guardianship and conservatorship over my husband. This petition was filed by my father-in-law on October 30th, 2007. I have to honestly say, I had no idea I needed to file a petition to gain full control over my husband's life. Our only concern just days after the accident was my husband's medical condition. At this point, I had been my husband's wife for nearly 17 years. You would think that I would have some legal rights. Unfortunately, I was very, very wrong. After it was brought to light that I was the wife and I demanded information, the hospital's legal advisor set rules on how to proceed and who was to have temporary guardianship over medical decisions over my husband. For it was now brought to light that I was my husband's estranged wife. So now our eldest daughter, Justice, was given that position. During this time period in which we were not notified at the onset of my husband's accident and the critically vital days after the accident, I believe this was all done with great manipulation to gain control over my husband's life. Justice was now finally in a position to protect her father and her family. Justice was able to sign vital medical papers for her father in view of the hospital's contact list for my husband. The only names that were on the contact list were my husband's parents and his two sisters. There were no reasons for these actions against my family. And if by chance my husband in anger spoke ill of me months prior to the accident, when I gave him his final ultimatum, one must know, if you have an ounce of gray matter, that alcohol facilitates aggression, and alcohol and anger are by all means first cousins. Our children knew these facts on alcoholism, though we do not believe that love, compassion, moral fortitude, and following the law had anything to do with the following actions against my family. Our whole family were served with papers, including our 10-year-old daughter. The probate court date was set for November 20th, 2007. I had no money, and an attorney from a famous ambulance-chasing law firm contacted me at the hospital and told me that they would help us in probate court. I accepted their offer, and I never received a bill from this law firm. On November 20th, 2007, in Bay County Probate Court, it was a modern-day lynching. Justice nor I had a witness list, and I was condemned for being a stay-at-home wife who homeschooled her children. For I had not held a secular position for over 10 years, and I stated that I was now disabled, for I have moderately severe degenerative disease. My father-in-law had 4 witnesses: my husband's sister, a friend of my husband's with a very colorful past, my father-in-law himself, and a woman on the Bay City School Board that stated in court that she was with my husband every day and every night, though I did not see this woman when my husband was in bed with me. And if anyone paid attention, my husband worked third shift in Detroit City. His nights were completely occupied. The probate judge granted sole conservatorship to my father-in-law and co-guardianship between our 20-year-old daughter Justice and my husband's father. I was nowhere in the ruling, nor in my husband's life. I now had no legal rights to the man I was married to. It was court-ordered by the probate judge for the conservator, my father-in-law, to care for our family and our family's needs and our home. It was also stated by the probate judge for the majority of my husband's last paycheck to come to our family. My husband's $1,600 bonus check was to be applied to our bankruptcy. My father-in-law was also told to keep us informed to all events and conditions concerning my husband. Applicable law was not followed, and our lives were now in complete hell. The day after court, on November 21st, 2007, I packed up all the flowers. Some of the flowers were still moist, and all the cards my husband just recently gave to me in our reconciliation. This package was hand-delivered to my in-laws by our youngest daughter, Harmony. This was the first time out of a total of 2 times our children were invited to go over their grandparents' home since their father's accident. I was hoping if my in-laws seen the flowers and the cards, they would realize that we were telling the truth, and they would stop trying to destroy our family. Well, this did not work.